I remember I was sitting right across from a professional gamer at the World Evo Championships, which is a fighting game tournament in Las Vegas annually. I was there sitting there. Okay, this is a professional. You can do this. I won the first 2 rounds, and I beat out 2 of my other competitors before. I can do this. The round starts. I froze. Everything I knew about that game went out the window. The most puzzled look on my face. I had to really think about, what am I doing wrong? Especially as I walked out and my friends were like, what happened? I know you can do better than that. Fellow Toastmasters, have you ever been in that situation where you wanted to focus, but distractions keep getting in your way? I know at Evo, a lot of Americans like to shout, USA! USA! Especially if they're, I don't know, playing against a Japanese gamer or somebody internationally. They always like to show their patriotism for the home crowd. So why do we want to learn how to focus? Well, focusing allows us to basically focus on what the task is on hand without getting too distracted, but it also allows us to perform at our very best. So before I really want to go and delve into the steps on how to improve this, I want to talk about two stages our brains are always in. This is by research from Dr. Barbara Oakley from San Diego U. So the first one is our focused thoughts. And this is basically where our tasks are so focused that it's basically like our gaze can cut through diamond. So if you look on the handouts, you notice that basically you draw a line and all of the circles represent our thoughts. So basically in a focused situation, our thoughts can go just straight. But there's one problem with this. You can't you're sometimes so focused you can't actually think about anything else. So that's why we have something called the diffuse mode, which allows us to think of other thoughts while we're in a relaxed state. But here's another problem with the diffuse state. We can't focus. I mean, have you ever worked on a test and suddenly you're like, oh, I wonder what's for dinner tonight? What time is it? These are our thoughts wandering, and this is what happens in diffuse mode is we cannot focus anymore. But also with the focus mode, we also can't think of other things out the box. So I'll relate this later, but in time, I will expand on that. So step 1, when we want to learn to focus, is to build that trigger. We want to be able to, right there, focus. So let me ask you, do you have an activity that makes you feel at peace? For me, as I think Reina has established, I like walking in the park, finding animals. This is one of my more meditative states that I have. So I also like to couple this with a few other activities and make it as a routine, such as drinking a cup of tea, maybe stretching, and maybe end it with some listening of light music. So eventually, because obviously we can't do this all the time and we want to be able to do this on a dot, we can't obviously just do this all the time just before we do something highly stressful. So what we're actually trying to do is we're trying to condition our body to relax at will. So what we do is we do these short routines and we gradually shorten it and compress it and compress it and compress it until we don't even have to worry about it anymore, and we can just do this on a fly. Secondly, we have what we call is building the focus stamina. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have been in school or something, and you see people all the time, they're cramming. And even when I was in university, I've always wondered, how do people focus so long? I mean, I've been in study groups too, and I always sit there and I'd always be the first one being like, you know what, I'm out. I can't focus anymore. It's too hard. And some people can just sit there for hours and hours on end, and I'm always scratching my head. How do they do this? But you know what? It's not always the most it's not the best way of learning to focus. The Human Performance Institute has noticed things about professional athletes. One of them is that they've noticed the best athletes are able to perform when they actually take breaks in between their high performance activities, or even within very small brief moments. So for example, if they have to go time out on the bench, they can suddenly just relax. And I'm sure that hockey players, those NHL players, every time they are given the opportunity to relax on the bench, they will just relax. They don't think about too much, think about the game, even though maybe their coach might be hyping them up and like, go, 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 go. But they're able to relax. So this is what we're gonna be training to do. So find an activity, hopefully it's cardiovascular, because there has been corresponding relationships between mental performance and cardiovascular performance. So what we do is take your exercise, do it to your limit, and then take a 2-minute break. And then do it again, and rinse and repeat. Eventually, you want to keep doing this over a span of time by lengthening the amount you do the high performance activity and shortening your break times. Eventually, this should be able to help you focus a lot more. Overall, the main reason we get distracted is that if we get too tense, you will try to stave off the reactions as much as possible. You will try to think of every other thing instead of what the task is on hand. So I want to close with a special Indian proverb, which basically talks about a man that walks in front of the road and finds thorns on the road. He can do one of two things. He can either pave the road in front of him, or he can build sandals. And why do we build sandals? Is because life throws at us a lot of things, but the thing is, we don't want to wow, I'm having this moment now. Sorry. Okay, so we want to make sandals because life throws at us a lot of things on the road, but we can't always adapt to we need to adapt to the situation. We can't always have the environment work with us. And that is why we need to learn to focus in opportune times. Thank you.